the MDT LSS-XL Gen 2 right now on Pirate Firearms and Reloading. So with that complete mouthful of acronyms out of the way, this is the MDT, or Modular Driven Technologies, LSS Light Sniper System Gen 2 extra large, as it has an extra large forend compared to the standard model. Now, way back almost 10 years ago, I had a Gen 1 version of the LSS chassis. That was a fantastic chassis, and the second I got rid of it, I actually regretted it. So they have made a serious amount of improvements. The longer forend is really nice. The little thumb shelf built in there is really nice. They've sorted out handguards. They've turned the magwell into a barricade stop. They've done lots of things to improve this chassis. So while I am a little late to the party with the Gen 2 LSS, because the Gen 3 is now coming out, and that is a completely modular forend system. So you buy the centerpiece for your action and then pick the appropriate forend. So a lot of these Gen 2 units now are starting to become on run out. So it's a good time to grab one. So obviously the Arc rail is going to help me hold this in place today. And this is a Sunway Photo 240mm arc rail. I've used this on previous builds and it seems to be a really solid rail. Now we've got the thumb shelf add-on on the back here. So this is something I've designed and 3D printed, and it's held on by double-sided tape. So you already have a bit of a shelf there on this particular chassis, but it just adds a little bit more surface area. And it just gives you that nice thumb purchase. They will be available eventually, and they're held on by 3M VHB double-sided tape. Now, I want to point out something a little unique to the Ruger American, and that is these two little V-blocks in here, either side of the magwell. So they act as your recoil lugs, and they also are the bedding surface. Now, as you can see, they're loose, so if we turn this chassis over and mount it that way, we may run into trouble. So normally I'd just lay the rifle action upside down, sit the chassis on top. So we're going to have to do this one a little differently today. So I'll go ahead and grab my barreled action. So this is the Ruger American Ranch, and it's in 300 blackout. Excuse the camo paint, it has gone through many iterations. I'm pretty much going to paint this one eventually as well. So the best way I've found to install this particular chassis with the removable V-blocks is to tip them out, and I'm actually going to sit them on the mating surface on the receiver. You'll also notice that I have two different length screws provided by MDT, so the short one is on the front and the long one is on the rear. A little bit different to some other actions, the screws are either side of the magwell rather than the rear screw being on the rear tang. That's the way the tang safety is set up on the Ruger Americans. So I'm going to drop those two screws into position, and I have my nice long ball head extension on here, and I'm just going to do these finger tight and then back them off about a quarter turn, because we want to seat the action against those two V-blocks or recoil lugs. And I'm also going to grab myself a 60 inch-pound limiter, which is what MDT recommend. And we're going to put the fix-it sticks handle on to give me a bit more leverage. So normally with a buttstock you could obviously tap this on the ground. The workbench is fine for today because you want that action to drop back, and you might as well use gravity to give you a hand. Now, some people will tell you to torque up the front action screw first. I've always just done them evenly, and then once they're nipped up, then apply the final torque. And a couple of clicks out of the fix-it sticks torque limiter, just like that, and we are in business. So that is the barreled action mounted into the chassis. Now at this point you want to do all your safety checks, make sure you haven't interfered with anything or created any new problems. make sure the safety still works, so on and so forth. So I am going to flip it back upside down now, and we are going to mount the grip. So these take a standard AR style pistol grip, and MDT do provide the screw as well. So I'm going to use one I've got here off my previous chassis, as you can see, already painted camouflage as well. MDT do make some really cool grips as well. Everything from vertical to angled to rubber over mold to a combination, including adjustable ones where you can move back and forward. I've found this one that I make here to work really well, and I've also stippled it to give it plenty of extra purchase if you have gloves or cold wet hands. Once again, these long extended ball head bits really do come in when you're doing things like this. And we'll just nip that guy up, sort of 6 to 10 inch-pounds for this particular 3D printed grip, but if you are using a full one, just follow their instructions. Now I'm going to flip the rifle over. Once again, we'll go back to the Arca rail. And this is why, if you're interested too, this is a Sunway Photo dual clamp, so it does both Picatinny and Arca in the same clamp. Real game changer when it comes to using them on tripods. I've got it on this little tripod, and I've got my others. Now you'll notice this is the carbine interface. MDT do make a fixed interface as well. Interestingly enough, the Ruger American Stanag only comes in a carbine interface, and you may find there's a few other little quirks like that. I'm not worried because I actually wanted a carbine interface anyway. Now you'll notice I took a 1/8 Allen key and backed out the little grub screw. That is the retention grub screw for indexing your stock. So this is the MDT CS stock. So it's composite carbine stock, I believe is the acronym. MDT certainly love their acronyms, and it comes with 4 length of pull spaces as well, so you can adjust this in and out. I have swapped out the 2 grub screws for the thumb screws. I actually stole them off another chassis, and I've used the grub screws on that to lock the length of pull. Generally speaking, I don't change length of pull, but I want to be able to get that cheek piece out should it interfere with the bolt. Although it has the cutout, I don't see this being a problem. And there's the little notch in the bottom, which we talked about for the grub screw to index in. So you're simply going to take this guy and you're going to spin it in, just like you're putting on a buffer tube. Now you could put a standard 6-position buffer tube on here, or a rifle length tube, and fit your own stock if you want to. And once it bottoms out, you bring it back till it's in line. I do the castle nut up finger tight at this point. Take that 1/8 inch hex bit and lock that in place. So I'm just wiggling it back and forward as it slowly comes down and indexes inside that little channel. That doesn't need to be super tight. I'm just going to put the screwdriver on it and give it a little bit. Depending on your grip, you may want to do that before you put your grip on. And now we need to tighten up the castle nut. So a wrench is going to be really important right now, and just lock that guy up. Now, there's no reason you can't put Loctite on these either, but I do intend on pulling this apart again, so I'm not going to do that just yet. When I do the final build out, it will absolutely be getting Loctite as well. So that is now our buttstock all installed and locked in place. So that pretty much covers all of the MDT side of things. But now I've got a few extras to show you that you might be interested in. So there is an M-LOK slot here in the bottom of the stock, as with most of MDT stocks. And what I've done is designed a bag rider, a little bit of texture on the bottom just from the print bed itself. And that is going to give you a bit more purchase on there. Certainly if you had the length of pull spaces in all 4 of them, you'd have quite a bit of an area there. But if you're trying to make a short rifle like mine, it won't exactly work. Go ahead and flip the rifle over because it will make this a whole lot easier. Now we do also sell chamber flag box for the AR-15 pattern as well, so you can have that in there, keep everyone happy. So have the 2 M-LOK nuts actually loose rather than tight. Give it a bit of a wiggle and you'll find it'll drop itself into place. Because it follows the contour of the stock, it is a little bit tricky to get on, but it will hold itself in there. Then do your usual M-lock trick, back the screw out, tighten it up, and lock it all in place. And just like that, you have a nice bag rider that matches the profile. Now, I recommend 6 inch-pounds on these. Do not exceed 10. All the force is actually going up through the stock anyway. It's simply just holding it in place. As you can see, I have matched the profile of the stock as close as humanly possible. Now, this should also fit the skeleton carbine stock as well, but the angles are fractionally different. Now, what I've got here is 2 rail cover sections or enclosing sections, and you can see if you give them a squeeze, they actually do slot in, and they're designed to fit on the inside. So up here at where the barrel tenon is, it's 30 millimeters, and I still can get these on with just enough clearance. So you do actually have to start a bit further back and then slide it rearwards, and you'll hear them click in. Then just give it a firm little push from the top to make it slot in. The dimensions are very, very close, so you will need to play with it a little bit. Now, depending on whether you've got the XL or the single, or whether you have a scope ocular bell in the way, you may only be able to put one of these in here. One end is beveled, one end is flat, and that is so the two can meet in the middle if you intend on cutting it. You see all the little grooves and the bevels that I've matched in there, so these things do lock in very, very well. So they snap down into place. And then this one is a little bit tighter. This is the same print, but this, I believe, is the paint tolerance in the chassis. MDT are very good at machining accurate things, but paint can always be a little bit of a trick, and I suspect that that is the difference. And it's only those front 2 slots there. They just seem to be a little bit tighter than the rest, but it will click in. So there is a minor little bit of movement because these are not designed to be mounted on. You can put like grip panels on there if you want, but don't mount any accessories on them. And it's just to match the aesthetic. That's the whole reason it's got the M-lock slots in there, so it matches the M-lock slots on the actual chassis itself. You see the 6 on the top and the sides, and then the 5 with the one missing in the middle for the 45-degree angle. So it allows you to close in the forend and just wrap your hand around there when you're shooting alternative positions and just protect the barrel too. Well, folks, that is the MDT LSS-XL Gen 2. And I'm very, very happy with this chassis. I am going to get out there and shoot it. I'll probably just throw a temporary optic on it to start with. But then I will be coming back, and hopefully very soon I will be doing a video on the scope I have chosen. It's a MVPO, so a 2-12, and it's a nice little compact form factor, which I think will work really, really nicely on top of this chassis. So happy with the way it's all set in there, and looking forward to getting out and shooting it. As always, if you have any questions, hit me up in the comments down below. Always check that first link in the description, and until next time, happy shooting. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss out on anything. And if you found this video helpful, please share it with your friends. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments below. Catch you next time.